Good morning, Lourdes.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm doing great today. How about you? How are you today?
Good. I'm well.
All right.
Wow,
Perfect.
that's my new standard answer. I am well.
I was
I'm
going
fine.
to
I'm
say
good.
that.
Say that again?
I was going to say you say well all the time now. I'm well. Are you
I'm
really?
well. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you
Okay.
for asking.
All right. Perfect. So what do we have today?
Well, today we're answering the question, how do I stop people pleasing? Have you ever found yourself saying yes when you really wanted to say no? Have you ever swallowed your feelings to keep the peace? If you've ever felt exhausted in relationships because you're always the one giving, then you might be stuck in the people-pleasing cycle. And we get it. I mean, I get it for sure. I'm a recovering people pleaser, definitely.
I am as well.
Confessions from Maria and Lourdes. Anyway, people pleasing isn't about being too nice. It's about survival. At some point, we learned that love was something that we had to earn and that our worth depended on keeping others happy. But what if we told you that love isn't something that you need to perform for? What if you could unlearn this pattern and finally choose yourself in relationships? Let's talk about how to break free, set boundaries, and start building relationships where your needs matter too.
Right. And before we begin, we have to take a look at where does people pleasing actually start. So let me just back this up a little bit. So people pleasing is often it's a response to a childhood experience or to childhood experiences where love felt conditional. And maybe you had to be a good kid to get approval. Maybe speaking up led to rejection. Maybe you felt responsible for other people's emotions. So you learned that keeping everyone happy was the safest option. And this often happens when your mother is unhappy. And 𝐲𝐵 Maté speaks about this, where if your mother is unhappy, it's almost impossible for the child to feel loved. And sometimes if one of the parents rejects you, then you don't feel secure. And so you fast forward to your adulthood, and suddenly you're in a relationship where you're an overgiver, over apologizing, you prioritize others instead of your own needs. And this could happen in your personal relationships. This could happen with friends, and this can also happen at work. But here's the truth. Healthy relationships don't require self-abandonment. Love is not something that you have to earn. So we're going to go through some steps to make the shift on how we can go from people-pleasing to learning that love is not conditional.
Absolutely. And, I love that you brought up 𝐲𝐵 Maté. I love his work. I mean, if you have the opportunity to read one of his books or delve into just, if you're working with someone, reflect on what those parental relationships look like, what it was that you had to do in order to maintain that parental bond, whether you always had to be the good little girl or, whether it was around something performative.
Right.
Taking a look at that is really so beneficial. But I digress. Maybe we'll spend one of our segments one day, talking about 𝐲𝐵 Maté's work, one of his books, Maria. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, no, I think so too, because one of the things is that as a child, we pick up so many beliefs. And as an adult, we're constantly recreating them and we're unhappy. And the thing is, like, you don't have to struggle through all of the past beliefs. You just have to think of, okay, this is a habit that I have and it no longer serves me. And so creating a new habit is also creating a new belief that serves you and allows you to be happier.
Right. And just to back that up a little bit, those beliefs, there was an occurrence. I was talking to a group of women yesterday at a breakfast. And usually what happens is, there's a circumstance in your childhood and you build a story around it. And it's usually involves some lack in yourself, something, you make it mean something bad about yourself. And then that negative seed creates this belief, and then you're off to the races. But once again, I digress. So,
okay.
Start with small boundaries. Start with small boundaries. You don't have to suddenly become a pro at boundary setting overnight. Start small. Instead of instantly saying yes to every request, try this. Let me think about it. Say that again.
No, definitely. I like what you're saying.
So instead of saying yes, just say, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. This one sentence gives you some space, some time to check in with yourself before committing to something out of habit.
Yeah, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable, or get comfortable with discomfort. Because the tricky part is when you start setting boundaries, you'll feel uncomfortable because it's a new thing. It's just like, you started working out, it's unfamiliar maybe. And so you might worry that people will be upset, but that's okay. Remind yourself, discomfort does not mean danger. And that's the big thing. It's not danger. Sometimes when we start doing new things, we feel uncomfortable and we think it's danger, but it's not danger. It's just new. Think of it as something new. So, and also remember that people who truly love you, they'll take this okay. They'll be okay with you setting new boundaries. They'll respect your limits.
But they might be uncomfortable first.
Right. It's true. They might start like, hey, what happened? She always says yes, and now she's saying no. And they allow for them to, to also get used to the new habit that you're creating, and allow them to understand that it's not about them. It's about your boundaries, what you feel comfortable with. Because that's the thing. People think it's about them, and it's not about them. It's about you.
Yeah. And, if we swoop in out of the discomfort that we're feeling or that the other person is feeling, then, we're taking a step back. We're working ourselves in the wrong direction. We have to be able to be in that discomfort and know that this is part of change. It's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. It's unknown. And that's okay. And then notice your people-pleasing reflex. So before you automatically say yes to something, again, pause and check in with yourself. Yeah. Ask yourself the question, do I actually want to do this? If the answer is no, practice saying it kindly but firmly. A simple, I can't do that right now is enough. Get those words comfortable in your mouth. You don't owe people long explanations. And as they say, no is a complete sentence. So, sometimes people are persistent and they keep asking you, they needle you, they insist. But, once you've said no kindly, you can just stay firm in your no and, not discuss it any further in terms of this is not something that is in alignment with me at this time. and
Yeah.
go from there.
And then let me just allow this. Sorry. There we go. Replace guilt with a new story, right? People pleasers often feel guilty when they prioritize themselves because, again, it's new and it's uncomfortable. So we have to get used to being uncomfortable. And so here's a good mindset shift. Instead of thinking I'm being selfish, try taking care of my needs helps me show up more fully in my relationships. Remember, you're just taking care of yourself. It's a new habit. You're unfamiliar with taking care of yourself. So it's just a little bit of a discomfort. So boundaries aren't rejection. They're a great way to build deeper, more authentic relationships.
And remember, love should feel safe. If a relationship only works when you're constantly giving and sacrificing, then it's not a relationship, it's a performance. The right people will love you, not for what you do for them. True love doesn't ask you to disappear in order to be worthy.
Right. And then, putting it all together, just, begin by practicing. Pick one situation you normally people please and practice setting a small boundary. It could be saying no to a request. It could be expressing your own needs or simply pausing before responding, taking, 5 or 10 seconds, allowing the discomfort to be in your body and take a deep breath and just say no and just keep reminding yourself you're allowed to take up space in your own relationships. And some people, they have to get used to saying no. And so they'll do it in front of the mirror and they'll say no. They'll say no while they're shopping. They practice saying no so that they get used to the initial discomfort, because once you're comfortable with saying no, then you have solid boundaries. It's okay. It's okay if people feel uncomfortable with you saying no, and it has to be okay with you to protect yourself and to set those boundaries and, take care of yourself and say that no, or I can't right now, or let me think about it.
This reminds me of something that I heard or read in one of 𝐸𝐲 Mate's books. There's a reason 2-year-olds say no. It's because they need to be able to say no to things before they can truly say yes.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So here's a final thought. People pleasing might have kept you safe in the past, but you don't have to live in survival mode anymore. You're worthy of love that honors your needs. So start practicing, because choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's self-respect. And as Maria, said, practice in different environments, getting those words comfortable in your mouth. Put yourself in situations where you're going to practice saying no so that you can be comfortable saying no when it matters.
Definitely. One of the things that I like about the practicing of saying no, what you start to realize is that nothing's going to happen, that you're safe, that you're okay. And that's the reason that you can't say no, because you think that your whole world is going to fall apart. And so when you start saying no, you realize, oh, nothing happened. Oh, nothing happened. And then so your body starts saying, oh, nothing's going to happen if I say no. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of my relationship. It's not the end of me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we should end it there. As always, if anyone needs help, assistance, support, please reach out to us. We're here to help.
Thank you.